How does that feel?
Visceral.
Oh my god.
The fluids are like jiggling around like right.
Vibrating in a very weird way.
Inside of my eardrums were rattling my brain.
So a couple of months ago, I was at this event at Thomann in Germany, and I asked a couple of YouTubers there to react to a very strange piece of music.
What have you done to me?
I think they found the resonant frequency of my eyeballs. I've never heard anything quite like it, actually.
This piece of music really changed my perspective on what music is and what it can be. It's very strange.
Where like there's...
My ears are...
Well... wow.
So what is this piece of music? Well, it was written by composer Maryanne Amacher for her album Sound Characters, Making the Third Ear. Amacher was a student of the great avant-garde composer Stockhausen, although apparently Amacher was so strange in her approach to music making that Stockhausen called her an alien. And this is Stockhausen we're talking about, who wrote a string quartet to be played in helicopters.
That extreme dissonance where there's this rub.
First thing that came to my head, I was just like, what?
That's disorienting.
What makes this music so strange is its use of the psychoacoustic phenomenon known as combination tones. Whenever you listen to two frequencies, say a note vibrating at 1300 hertz and another at 1100 hertz, you might perceive additional tones, the sum and difference between these two bass frequencies. In this case, a lower 200 hertz tone, the difference between the two frequencies, and a much higher 2400 hertz tone, the sum. Usually the difference tone is easier to hear, but both will be present. These combination tones can sometimes be quite subtle, especially if you're not used to listening for them. So, in order for the YouTubers to be able to hear them, I had to turn the volume up.
What have you done to me?
Now, did I do this to get funny reactions for YouTube? Of course I did, but I actually did it for real reasons as well that relate to perception.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Sounds like the Emergency Broadcast Network.
It sounds like an AOL version of the beginning of Dark Side of the Moon.
Now, the difference between two sine waves, a combination tone, can create something called an otoacoustic emission, literally a sound generated by the ear itself due to nonlinear distortion effects. This is actually the sign of a healthy ear. Audiologists look for otoacoustic emissions in testing for hearing damage. You can actually calculate what frequencies to test for, and if your ear creates an otoacoustic emission based on that difference tone that's generated between the two frequencies, that's a sign that your hearing in that frequency spectrum is healthy.
Tones that we make as human responders, there really are response tones. When we're experiencing music, we are creating other tones that go along with the tones that are sounding. We are making these tones and we're totally unconscious of all of this.
It's almost like the sound I was hearing was in reverse. You know, it wasn't going into my ears, it was coming from out of my head.
And then at one point, a low tone came in with it too, like a low octave got brought in with it. I don't know if that's true or not, or if I'm crazy.
At high enough volumes, music written with combination tones to exploit otoacoustic emissions will make it feel like the sound is coming from inside your own head. Like you'll be able to hear the music around you, but also like there's a little tiny loudspeaker in your brain. When you say your ears are vibrating, like...
My head, actually, my brain.
Your brain is vibrating.
My brain is vibrating.
Okay.
Different areas of my cranium are vibrating, and it feels so...
It got my jaw.
You got your jaw.
It vibrated my bones, but...
Because I could feel them, like, right here.
It's important to note that you cannot listen to this particular piece of music through headphones and get the same effect, because the two sine waves have been separated into left and right channels. If you're wearing headphones, each ear only gets one channel at a time, so you won't be able to hear the combination tone. Otoacoustic emissions can only occur if your ear receives both of the channels.
The difference becomes a new pitch.
It becomes a new pitch.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Were you able to hear like a melody at all, or is it just like this weird annoying buzzing?
So is the melody actually a thing?
Play it again. Let me see if I can sing it back.
Ba, 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 ba.
Ba, 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 da, ba, ba.
Da, 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 da. Like I kind of get like that kind of.
That's like a few cents off, or I don't know, and they really clash in my.
The melody was the thing that I felt my eardrum vibrate back to me. So that's the melody that's been created. Damn, that's cool.
I first came across the work of Maryanne Amacher when I was working on my first video about combination tones about 2 years ago, and since then I've been very struck about her ideas around musical perception. Specifically, how she kind of thinks about music as like a form of architecture.
I do think of it as more of an oral architecture.
She would create installations of loudspeakers in buildings to get very specific psychoacoustic effects.
In terms of architecture itself, I think of it quite literally.
In a way, making the music a part of the space itself.
I was always interested in spatial aspects of sound.
I worked with her, for example, in a church in Berlin. We spent about 3 weeks pretty much living in that church.
I discovered that maybe if I put the speaker in there...
We would move loudspeakers, a single foot, and then we would listen. We would move it another foot. We'd change it 15 degrees and keep listening. This kind of process.
The way you heard it in another room, the way you heard it here, or if I put it in a closet and I connected it with direct sound, it became much more rewarding.
In a broad sense, Amacher worked with sonic spatialization, which he called perceptual geography, the brain's ability to hear a sound and place it correctly within 3D space. Music written for combination tones and otoacoustic emissions generally subverts expectations about where sound can come from.
Because it's sitting right in the middle of the monitors where some of the sound out of phase to me. You're trying to pick it out, but then the other note comes in the other channel, and it's like it's impossible to pinpoint.
But if you put it in the stereo, it's like they're messing with your head. Like CIA, don't hack me. Sine waves feeding into my brain.
That's literally what's happening. This is why I love playing this music for the YouTubers. It's very weird and disorienting because it sounds like the music is coming from different places than where it should.
Maybe it's like the two sine waves, and then they create the other frequency that your ears are creating, and then that's the out of phase. I don't know, that kind of, because it sounds so spacey when you're sitting right in the middle of it. It's so wide.
It's coming from 4 different directions.
Sounds just like a stereo spread to me, like it's some over there, going back and forth.
I feel like my left ear is hearing something completely different than my right ear. And at the same time, it's like different parts of my cranium are resonating.
Either it's super left or super right. Like, it's all the way out there. There's no in the middle.
The music isn't weird because it uses weird scales or polyrhythms or tunings or anything like that. It's weird because it exploits a subtle aspect of the physiology of our ear.
That's brilliant.
All right.
It is brilliant.
That's wild, man.
Incredible.
Cool. Well, thanks, man.
I loved it. Thank you.
For me, that aspect can be just as expressive and visceral as any other piece of music, especially in the hands of a deft and visionary composer. A composer like Maryanne Amacher. I'd really like to thank Thomann, as well as these sponsors, for sponsoring Gearhead University, where I could fly out to Germany to play avant-garde music for a bunch of YouTubers from an obscure composer. It's truly a brave new world of content we are living in. If you enjoy my channel and what I do here, please consider joining my Patreon, because it's the patrons over at my Patreon that really make this channel what it is. And yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I'm here at Thomann's Gearhead University 2019, and I'm here to ask the question that has been on everybody's minds. What is the most annoying sound in the world? What is the most annoying sound you have ever heard?
Your voice.